This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, okay. Hi guys, welcome back. And so as we have discussed yesterday about the different single sign-on protocols, which included OIDC and secure web authentication, and also we created our accounts on Okta. So like today, I would just like to keep that momentum going forward, and have a class or have a session wherein we see how do we actually integrate applications in Okta. So this will be our the first or you can say like the first time we'll be going to Okta. Like if someone hasn't followed, or he wasn't, or he or she wasn't available yesterday for the session, so I would request you that please go through the session which we had yesterday, and have your accounts created in Okta, so that we all can be on the same page, and from there we'll start integrating some applications and see the real time, like whatever theoretical stuff we have gone through till now. I would like to show it to you practically as well, so that you guys feel comfortable and you guys can correlate what we have gone so far. So I'll just share my screen. Just let me know once it's visible to you. Yeah, okay, just let me know once it's visible.
Hi, I have one quick doubt because I was not there yesterday. I don't have my account on Okta. So, yeah, I couldn't go through the yesterday's session. So,
Sure, no problem. Is like the people who haven't like who hasn't have their account on Okta, can you just ping your IDs to me? We can create it right now.
yeah, sure. Okay.
Just ping me your Gmail ID, and that will be it.
Okay.
Or maybe your first name, last name as well.
It's, yes.
Also, I would like, in the meanwhile, I would like to request you guys, anyone, logging in from their phone, I would, request you that please try to, log in from a system, because there would be certain things, I would request you guys to do at your end also, because like, I can do it at my end, but that is something I already know. So if you all guys are going to do it from your end, then, things might get more clear to you. So that's what I, would like to intend in these sessions, that whenever we have the practical classes, you and me are doing it together, and if you guys are getting stuck somewhere, we can get it resolved then and there on the call. So like just try, if you get try to log in with the system if anyone is not doing that, and you can just follow the sessions as per like whatever we are doing in the class. You can try it at your end. Yeah, okay. Are you there? Are you typing something? Yeah, okay. Okay, you would have got an activation email, Swamini. So, you could just go to your Gmail ID and, activate your account. And I'll make you the super admin here in Okta. Although we haven't talked about what is a super admin and stuff like that. But for the time being, just to, make you in sync, that super admin is something, whatever, you'll be able to see all these tabs, whatever we are saying. So you'll have, complete permissions in Okta to do whatever stuff we are going to do here. And hence, like all those stuff, like what is it, and like other admins is something we'll look at later. But for the timing, you can just think it of that you'll have the highest privileges in Okta. Okay, yeah. So you can just go to your Gmail account and you can just sync it, and once you'll be logged in, so you'll be coming up on this page. Okay,
Yeah, I
anyone else?
logged in.
Perfect, yeah. So like I can just show you the status also. Like currently, it like I think 2 minutes back your status was pending user action, and now it has been changed to active because there are different statuses in Okta for a user profile, and I'll show you how like all the different profile statuses. But for the time being, you can think of like you have just seen couple of them. One was pending user action because there was an action required to be done, something to be done from the user, and now it's active because it's already been done. So anyone else who is pending an account in Okta, or we can start. Okay, if in case no, it's good. If in case yes, then there are, as I've discussed yesterday, there are two ways. Either this is my personal Gmail domain account, so you guys can also create your own personal Gmail account. I mean domain account, and you guys can start adding people. So just mind you that this is a 30 days free trial license, so you won't have it after 30 days. So that's why I propose that let's not have like the account activated for all of us on the very first day, because after 30 days none of us will have the account. So that's why I have just gone to activate my account and add you guys after 30 days, if in case our classes are not over. So one of you guys can use your Gmail account, and you can create an environment of Okta, and you can then add us like as a people as I'm adding right now. Okay, so that's how it is. Yeah, so let's move on to the next topic. That is like, although we are going to see each and every tab over here, like we have dashboard, we have directory, we have customizations. Although this is a very new tab which Okta has incorporated few days back only in their latest update, but we are going to view that. This is the most important tab which we have, and this is the tab which will be starting off with. That is applications. Then we have security features in Okta, like how is the servers going, or like something related to the authentication, multi-factor. We can add IDPs in Okta. We can use delegation. Delegation is some other concept which I haven't talked, so I'll just discuss that. We have networks, behavior detection. I mean, you might not be able to understand many of these things right now, but don't worry, we'll be going to each of the tab one by one, and we'll be looking at what it means, so that's fine. Then we'll have the workflows, although this is something we cannot go in deep because this is not much covered in their free trial license, but it's a very strong feature of Okta which Okta is still working on and developing in the coming days. So I'm not sure if we'll have something to work upon this, but I'm sure that we'll at least have some documentation to learn something on the Okta workflows. So we'll plan it out that way. And then this reports is something related to the logs, and to check out if in case something is not going right, or stuff like that. And then finally the settings and customizations which we can do in Okta. So since we have learned about single sign-on protocols, and hence I would like to start off with the applications tab. So let's go ahead, and if in case you guys haven't started Okta yet, I would request you everyone to log into the Okta page and come in over here. So once you're on that last screen which I was, that was this screen, or any screen, you just need to go into this three dots, and just go into the applications and then go to the applications. Okay, so guys, just interrupt me, or stop me if in case you are not following. I'll just take it on my pace. But if in case you feel that this wasn't being done properly by me, don't hesitate. Just come up, and we'll find out. The important thing is that you implement this solution at the end of the day by yourself, not by just viewing the screen. So just stop me if in case you're not following. If you're following, that's great. Okay. So now we'll talk about different application stuff which we have in Okta. So over here you can see, right, we have two blue options. So one is the app integrations, and the other is the app catalog. Okay, so in the app catalog, this is like the Okta integration network. Okay, so what is Okta integration network? What Okta has done is like they have around 7,330 integrations with different applications. Okay, so you can see Salesforce, you can see ServiceNow, you can see Microsoft Office, you can see Workday, Zendesk. These are all standard connectors which Okta has already created. So you can think of it like there has been tremendous amount of coding which Okta has already done, and they have provided you with the standard connectors, and now you can leverage those connectors. So for example, tomorrow you're working as an Okta developer, and you get a requirement saying that you need to integrate an application with the SAML or OIDC or secure web authentication. Okay, so the first thing you might be interested is that do we have a standard already connector, built-in connector within Okta for that application? If you are able to find a built-in connector in Okta, then it's perfect. Like you don't have to do much of the things. But if in case there is no standard connector in Okta, then you can just go ahead with the custom connectors. So that is something that is like which we'll be seeing, like what to do, and when to use the custom connectors or the standard connectors. But for the time being, you can just think of it like there are two things. One is the application integration wizard. This is your application, this is AIW with what we call in Okta, because this is something related to application integration, that is custom application. So we call it AIW. And this is your OIN, that is app catalog, which is like the list of all the standard connectors available in Okta. So this is like your OIN, that is Okta integration network. Okay, so currently we are just going to have a look, because see, when I'm saying that I'm going to show you guys a demo on SAML, that means like there is no exactly not a there is no real-time application with which I can show you guys a demo with SAML, right? So there is something on internet which is available, which helps us to show the demo how SAML works. Okay, so that's why we cannot have like multiple we cannot have multiple for example, we cannot have multiple applications, and we cannot have a custom, or I mean the standard application connector available. So we cannot have that, right? Because this is something, a dummy connection which we are going to create. So Okta hasn't created a connector for that dummy connection. So that's why we are going to go ahead with the AIW connection, that is like your application integration wizard. So this helps you to create the custom connectors. Just remember that create app integration just helps you to create the custom connections, and app catalog helps you to create the standard connectors. Okay, so let's go ahead and create one SAML 2.0 connection. So you get to see, once you open the app integration wizard, you get to see 4 different options over here. We have discussed about OIDC, we have discussed about SAML, we have discussed about secure web authentication. Now API services is something which is very new. Like I think last month only they have incorporated this API services. It's basically used for machine to machine authentication. I've discussed in yesterday's class that there is a concept of machine to machine authentication, but currently, to be very honest, like like there are not much use cases, and it's very difficult to replicate the scenario in the lab, because machine to machine authentication means like kind of a bot who needs to be authenticated to do certain stuff. So there is no there is no need of an identity over there. We do not require a person to be authenticated. It's like machine being authenticated to do certain stuff. So that's why uh, it's like something very new. But like we can just talk about it a little bit, but we won't be able to see any demo on this. So let's go ahead and do a SAML 2.0 demo. So once we click on SAML 2.0, we can give an app name. So maybe some app name like test. Maybe I'll just give my name, because if you guys are creating your apps also, so you can just give your names. So test Vibhor. Now there's an app logo. So if in case you have an application which has a logo, like like Okta has this logo or Salesforce has this logo. So if in case you have an application which has different logos, then in that scenario you can go ahead and upload the file over here. You can have your files from the system, and you can just upload it. These are some of the requirements and some of the limits which you cannot cross, but apart from that it's good. Like, and it's not compulsory also. If you want to have a logo, it's good. If you don't, it's fine. Then this is the app visibility. This is something interesting. So we have talked about couple of features, right, in SAML, which is this service provider initiated flow, and the other was the IDP initiated flow. So in the service provider initiated flow, uh, like we'll be seeing something like this. I did mention in our classes back that we'll be able to see chiclets of the icon over here, right? So we'll be able to, like, you see this application, right? So if I click onto it, I should be logged into the application directly without having me to sign into this Salesforce application with my credentials. I don't have to log into the Salesforce. I can just click on it and I'll just log into the application. So that's what IDP initiated flow was, because who is the IDP? Identity provider, right? So identity provider is Okta over here, right? So Okta is your identity provider and you are inside Okta right now. So that means you have gone to the IDP and you are trying to leverage a service of Salesforce. You're trying to use the services of Salesforce. So if you want to use Salesforce from Okta, you are, and want to go ahead with IDP initiated flow, then you have to log into the Okta first. No, you have to go to Okta and then leverage SSO of, then leverage services of Salesforce. If it would have been SP initiated flow, then you would have gone to Salesforce first. From Salesforce, you would have redirected to Okta, and then from Okta back to Salesforce. That's how the flow works, right? So if so, yeah, that's what I was talking about. So if in case we say that do not display the application icon to the users, so if in case the icon is not available to the users, so this will not be displayed over here. If in case, like, I check mark this box, so this will just not display my icon over here in the apps. So if I if I have a requirement that I need IDP initiated flow, then I will keep it unchecked. But if in case I have a requirement, I need I don't need IDP, then I will keep it checked. So currently I will just show you that let's keep it unchecked, and no, let's keep it checked. Sorry, yeah, okay, let's keep it unchecked and then see what happens, and then we'll play around with this and see what happens. So we'll go to next. Now I'll just show you, like, because I have told that it's going to be a dummy connection, so I've just told you that let's go ahead and see something on that IAM showcase. So that's like going to be a dummy connection, and you all can type this thing. I'll just ping this link in the chat, and if you go to this link, you will be able to test both the scenarios, that is service provider initiated flows as well as the IDP initiated flows. Okay, so if you go in over here, you get to see these things, right? So you will be able to do IDP, SP. Now this is something not related to, like, not something which we need to take care of. So let's go ahead and do a testing. So yeah, so over here, like, I just went to the instructions tab, and I, because, like, if you would have remember that I did mention that in SAML there is some kind of a trust to be required. Okay, now metadata concept came into existence, which contained all the data like the entity ID, assertion, consumer service URL, and stuff like that. Like, that contains the information about the service provider. And for IDP also, metadata means that it will contain the information about the identity provider, and these two metadata needs to be exchanged in order to generate or create a trust between them. So currently I'm downloading the metadata for the SP initial, and like for the service provider, because this is our service provider over here. Like, you can think of it that this is our application. Okay, so I'm trying to get the metadata of the application right now. So if you go in and download it, so you will have your metadata somewhat in this format. So you can see that there is an entity descriptor, there is a entity ID. So this is something we require. So you can just copy paste from here to here. This is your entity ID, although we require ACS or the single sign-on URL first, but like since we got entity ID in the metadata first, so I just went ahead and did that. So yeah, this thing. Then you'll have next thing you require is the single sign-on URL. This is the single sign-on URL. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to find the single sign-on URL. So now it's like the service provider descriptor that it's saying that authentication request is signed. It's false uh, because like this is a dummy connection, so that's why authentication request is not signed over here. But in the real-time scenarios, this will be signed. And if you want the assertions to be signed, we have kept it as true. And what type of protocol it supports, so it supports SAML 2.0 protocol. And then the name ID format. So name ID format, I did discuss with you guys that it's basically it is basically the attribute which is going to authenticate or verify you, right? So for example, if you're currently, you'll be using your Gmail IDs because that's how your identities are here in Okta. So that becomes your name ID format. If you are going to use, for example, I use vibhor.garg as my unique name, for example. So that becomes my name ID format. But for the time being, I just have my email ID, so I'll use that. And that's it. Like this is the location. So ACS, I don't know, but ACS was something like which we discussed. That was uh, there would be a SAML response which will be going from the IDP to the SP, right? So IDP will be authenticating the user. IDP is your Okta over here. Okta will be authenticating the user, and it will be sending back the response to the service provider. Now that response, what IDP is sending back to the service provider is your assertion. Okay, so that assertion needs to be consumed by service provider at some point of time. Like a service provider has to consume that assertion, right? So I think like if it is getting confusing, yeah, so for example, over here, if you see, so this was our SP initiated. So we go to the app first, then IDP, then log into the app. IDP was totally opposite. Now, this was something I'm talking about this. So you get a SAML request. This is generated by the service provider and it is being sent to the identity provider. You have a SAML response. Now IDP, because like from service provider, you are there onto IDP. From IDP, you are sending the service to the assertion back to the service provider. So this is something IDP sends to the SP, that is the assertion, and SP needs something, right? Like SP need to read or understand that assertion. So that is ACS, that is assertion consumer service. So over here, that's what it is asking. That's what our IDP is asking. Like once I authenticate and send back the assertion, where do I have to redirect it to? So that's what assertion consumer service is. So the location where the SAML assertion is sent with the HTTP post request, this is often referred to as the SAML ACS URL for your application, right? So our IDP is trying to understand, okay, I'll authenticate, I'll understand, I'll create an assertion, but where do I have to send? I have to send it to the ACS. So hey app team, please help me with your ACS URL. So this is what our ACS URL is over here. So like I've mentioned before that the metadata contains all of this information, like the name ID, your metadata, or sorry, your ACS URLs, your entity ID. This is your service provider, this is your application. Like think of it like Okta from now on will always be your IDP, and application will always be your service provider. Okay, think of it like, let's not talk about IDP SP, just remember that Okta is your IDP and application is your service provider. So currently we are viewing the metadata of the application, that is our service provider. So we'll just copy paste this stuff and we'll just that's it. If in case we require something like email ID or unspecified, we can keep it as it is. But and this is like the username format. We can make it custom if we have some attributes which we want to send, but that's fine for the timing. Let's not keep that. Like, let's keep it simple. Nothing apart from this what we have done. Let's go and preview our SAML assertion. Okay, so once oh, sorry. So, okay, yeah, this is our assertion now. Okay, this is the assertion which Okta will be sending to this application. So over here, if you see that you have an assertion ID, you have the format like the name ID format, and then this will be containing your username over here. This is like an XML document. Although, like, see, if you are able to understand it, it's very good. If you are not able to understand, it's not something like that I'm not understanding the XML. Like, try to understand, like if you'll just see certain things, you don't need to understand line by line, like, okay, what this SAML to colon means, or stuff like that. What you need to understand is that if you have a metadata file, you are able to understand the language, like you are able to extract the information which you need to do it from your end. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to help you over here. So SAML to audience. So audience is your IAM showcase. So if you would be remembering, I did mention that audience URL or entity ID is that's something unique. Like, IDP needs to understand, no, I need to restrict the access of this application to this particular audience. So that's what in assertion it's saying that IAM showcase, and then at what point of time the authentication instant will happen, till when it is valid, and stuff like that is something uh, this assertion contains. Now let's go ahead and next and finally save it. So now if you are able to do this stuff, just confirm, and we'll take it from there. So now you will see that you have multiple tabs over here in the application. One is the general, one is the sign on, other is the mobile, import, assignments, and stuff like that. So now if it is clear till now, I'll just pause off for a moment, and if it is clear till here, it's very good. If it is not, then we can discuss it again, and then I'll show you the demo how it works. And also I'm hoping that you guys are following, and you guys are also creating your applications like this. I mean, I can check like any one of okay, none of you have actually created it, but like I think you should go ahead and create it. Like if in case you're getting stuck, we can actually troubleshoot over here itself in the class. So that's why I'm emphasizing that just go ahead and create a connection, or integrate applications on your end, because see, looking at the screen, no, it will be like it's very easy. You don't have to do much over here. You just have to go ahead and configure certain URLs and stuff like that. But in real time scenarios, you won't be able to do it, because you haven't done it before, and then there are many things which you won't understand why this is not happening and stuff like that. So that's why I'm saying, because if you'll do it on your own, doubts will come up, and you can ask those doubts to me, and I can help you solve those, and then it will get like crystal clear. So that's why I'm requesting, try to go ahead and do it. Okay, so now next thing is like if you'll see that
Excuse me.
yeah,
Will you repeat once again the
sure.
metadata part?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so see one thing. If I need to define a metadata, right? So our stuff is like metadata is required to generate a trust. Okay, so now there would be IDP metadata, and there would be SP metadata. Okay, and they need to be exchanged. Okay, so they need to be exchanged. Now what happens is like over here in our scenario, we have gone to the application. Now let's keep application as your SP, and your Okta as your IDP. This is like, you can keep it this, like you can think that this will be everywhere. Like hardly we are going to treat Okta as an SP. We might do it for one of the labs, but apart from that, think of it, application always is SP and Okta always is IDP. Okay. So now what is going to happen is that we need to exchange the metadata over here. So we went to the application. This is your application. Okay, you can just think of it because it's a dummy app. So just think that this is your application. Okay, now from your application you are trying to download the metadata because that's what we need. We need to get the service provider metadata. Okay, we need to get the SP metadata, right? So we are going into the application and downloading the metadata. Okay, this is a dummy app, so this is like, very compact metadata, you can say. It doesn't contain a lot of information, but if in case like you are doing it in a real-time scenario, you might be able to see a lot of things. But that's not a worry because there are a couple of things which we need to extract from the metadata. Okay, so that is your entity ID and your ACS URL. This is your location of the ACS URL. Okay, so now entity ID is something which is unique to the service provider, which is unique to the application. Okay, which will help Okta or the identity provider understand that you need to restrict your application access to this application only to this particular audience. You don't need to allow it to everyone. Okay, so that's why we this is your entity ID. So we require it for IDP, that is Okta, to understand. And ACS URL is something we require because IDP is going to authenticate and create an assertion. Over here I mentioned, right? There would be a SAML response, and that SAML response is an assertion. So Okta will be sending that response to the application saying that I have verified the user. I feel that these are the things that user has, that authentication is successful or not, or these are the attributes being passed, and this will be given back to the service provider. Now it's up to you. You make the decision whether you want this guy to use your application or not. Now service provider needs to read that assertion. It needs to understand what is happening, right? So that's why it requires an ACS URL, that is assertion consumer service. It requires a location at which Okta can send that assertion value. So if you go in and see over here as well, so yeah, if you come in and see here as well, no? So over here, that's what it means. Like if you, so the location where the SAML assertion is being created by Okta, and it is being going to be sent to the application. So it's HTTP post is something like an HTTP method. I'll tell you guys when we'll be doing certain API stuff. But for the time being, just think of that Okta is going to send the information to the service provider. Now on the service provider end, they require something which can read or understand that assertion, and that's what the single sign-on URL is. So that's why we wanted to understand that single sign-on URL from their application metadata, because this is your application metadata. So we got these two things. Although they in scenarios where there would be trust and stuff like that, there would be certificates also in the metadata. Okay, in this only. So those certificates can be copy pasted here and there, but for the time being it's fine. Like whatever we are understanding, that is more than enough. Okay, so you have your entity ID, you have your location, and then you have your name, ID formats and stuff like that. Now SP metadata is done. Okay, we don't need to do anything with the SP metadata. We have done SP metadata. So this metadata is exchanged with IDP, that is your Okta. Now Okta's metadata also needs to be exchanged with service provider, right? With the application. How will application come to know that I have to redirect to Okta, right? So that's why we require configurations to be done on both the sides, and that's what federation is all about. Okay, when you have two parties included, that is configuration to be done on the service provider side as well as on the identity provider side. At that point of time, there requires to be a trust or a federation to be created, and that's what we are trying to do here. Like there would be a we have fetched the details of the application and we have configured it here in Okta. Now Okta details needs to be fetched and be sent to the service provider. So now I am next is something we'll be talking about exactly that. Like we have seen service provider metadata. Now let's go ahead and see identity provider metadata. So this is like how a metadata looks like. You'll see that your, although that's a dummy app, so you don't see it, but I was talking about certificates and stuff like that, right? So that's how your metadata look. Now if you see one by one, line by line, the metadata of identity provider, you have an entity descriptor. It's fine. I mean, like every tag is something you don't need to understand. You need to understand certain keywords in the metadata. So entity ID, now this is your entity ID. This is your entity ID for Okta. This is that unique ID for Okta which is created for this particular application. For if I need to compare, right? So there was an okay, I think that got closed by mistake. Okay, so if
So
in case
from where did you get that Okta metadata?
yeah, okay. So from here, once you create the connection, no, at that point of time itself, Okta will generate its metadata. This is something which we are not creating. This is something which will be created by Okta once the connection is created. The moment we have created the connection, you'll see that the metadata is created. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's try to deactivate this app and again create an app. Like so let's try to deactivate it. These are all the default apps created. They have got nothing to do with SAML or OIDC. This is like for Okta's reference, like whatever you see, so you can just ignore them for the time being. But yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and create another same application again, that is SAML 2.0. For the time being, there is no application, right? So let's go ahead and create it again, same name. Nothing I'm checking for right now. This is something I'll get from here. So I'll just download the metadata. This is SP metadata. This is like app metadata. This is something I am not creating, or I'm not getting. So I'll just go ahead and fetch the basic details like the single sign-on URL and the entity ID. So I'll just go ahead and do that, and the entity ID. Okay, and once, and then I am going to show you like one by one what exactly everything means, but for the timing, let's just not go into it. Let's go ahead and create the connection. So now the connection is created. Once I click on that finish button, now the connection is created. Now you can see 4 different tabs: general, sign on, mobile, import, assignments. Okay, so now you don't have to worry about and the moment you go on to the sign on tab, you will be seeing that there is an IDP metadata which is generated. So that's how this IDP metadata is generated. Okay,
Got it.
now I mean, is it understood? Like
Yeah.
okay, thank you. So we've talked about, like, there is a SP metadata we have dealt with. Now we have to deal with the IDP metadata. So this is something which we have got, like the IDP, the moment the connection is created, the IDP metadata will be generated. Okay, so we'll just generate the IDP metadata, and now we'll go back to the application. Okay, so if we go back to the application, we have it is asking me that you can submit your XML file. So either I can submit by just copy pasting over here what this is, or I can create an XML file and I can upload it over here. So it's easy for me to just copy paste for the time being. So I'll just submit it, and the moment I'll submit it, it has given me a logon URL. So this is like this is something being given by the service provider, like your application. This is not something done by Okta or stuff like that. Okay, so now if I try to go ahead and log in an incognito window. Okay, so it will, because now the configuration has been done on both the sides. Because why it has been done on both the sides? Because see, SP metadata was something which we got and we configured in Okta. Now this was something, because this was the IDP metadata, and I just copy pasted and I have given it back to the application. I've just copy pasted and given it back over here. So now IDP has understood everything about the like your application has understood everything about the Okta. So that's why it both are knowing each other's configuration. Now I'll just go ahead and uh, try to log in with that URL which I got in an incognito window. So now see what will happen. I'm trying to log in, that is I'm trying to hit the URL, and I am getting my login page of Okta, right? So, and see, it is trying to tell me that you are trying to access test Vibhor, because this is my application name. So it will help me to understand that I'm trying to log into the correct application. It's not something like I'm just logging into Okta. Now I will give my username and password. Okay. So I'm just using my Google account. So that's why I'll just give Google. Once I'm authenticated, whether I'll be logged in is something, it's still I'm not sure of. Let's see if it happens. Okay. Mm. See, yeah, I got a session created with Okta and I get to see this app not assigned error. Now, what is the reason why I got this? Okay. So let's go ahead and check the logs there in Okta. So over here you can see, right? So there is view logs. So if you go to the logs, you'll be able to see that user attempted unauthorized success to the app, and this was a failure. See, everything else was a success. Okay, I have updated the application, I have just created the application, everything was a success, but I tried to log into the application and that was a failure. Now the reason being because there is an assignments tab here in this application and I am not being assigned to this application. So there's just an application created in Okta, but this cannot be used by anyone right now because Okta doesn't know whom to give access to this for this application. So that's why I need to go ahead and assign myself to the application. Okay. Now once I have assigned it, I can just try to refresh this page, and this time I'll be logged into this application, right? So you will see that it shows my Gmail ID and you have successfully federated and stuff like that, and it's showing me my name ID format. That is something it has fetched from my account details, like from my profile details, and now if I need to do certain stuff, so let's try to go ahead and pass certain information. Like let's go ahead and try to pass certain attributes to the application. Like this application is a dummy thing, so it might not require attributes to be passed, but there are many applications which which cannot be set up without the attributes. So that's why I just want to show you guys, like we can set up some attributes as well. So let's try maybe something like email I'm passing, and I'll just give it as user.email. Okay, or I'll pass first name as well, and I'll just give it as user.first name. I'll show you why am I writing this user.email and user.first name, and from where is it going to be fetched and when to write user and app. So what is it and how, what does it mean is something I'll show you, but for the time being just think of it like that this is going to contain my email ID value and this is going to contain my first name value. That's it. So let's go try and finish it, and then let's go ahead and again try to hit the URL. So this time you'll see that there are a couple of things which will be coming. See, in the attribute statements you can see that first name attribute came as Vibhor and the email attribute came as Vibhor, my Gmail ID, right? So this shows that whatever I'm trying to do from Okta, it's getting replicated on the service provider side, and the reason why is it getting replicated is because there is a trust between these two identities or the parties. So that's how the this is what our service provider initiate, because we are logging into the application URL. We never went to the to our IDP metadata, to our Okta, right? We just directly went in an incognito window and hit the service provider or the application URL. Now let's go ahead and try to see it on our IDP dashboard. So over here now you are able to see the icon. So even if you go in here and create a session, you will be able to log into the application. So I'm not sure if you would have noticed the URLs, but try to notice the URLs. I'm going here, Currently it is going to Okta and then directly to SP. So what happened was, from IDP, I was there on IDP, then back to Okta. Sorry, but then back to the application. And in SP initiated flow, what happens is, like if you see the URL, so it is SP, then Okta, then back to the application, right? So this is what SP initiated flow is, and this is what our IDP initiated flow is. Like if you just want to see, this is our IDP initiated flow. Okta and then finally application. So over here it's application, Okta, application. Over here it's Okta directly to the application. And that's what the difference between these two flows are. So that's it. I mean, Leah, I just wanted to show it to you. This is like a, a real-time example of what the service, what a SAML connection is. If in case you guys have any doubts, I'll just pause up for a moment and let's, discuss if in case something is not clear to you, and then we'll move forward. Also, I would request you guys, please go ahead and please create a connection, because like, still there might be certain things which might not be clear, because, it seems or it looks a little bit easy stuff, but it's not that easy, how it looks. So you might be, getting stuck somewhere or stuff like that. So that's why I'm requesting that if it would be great if you guys can, just do it once by your own. If you are done successfully, then it's great. And because like we all are on the same environment, so yeah. So Swamini, I think you have tried, so were you able to do okay? Yeah, I think you're still working, right? Nice, yeah. Okay, you can keep on trying, Swamini. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the problem is when I'm trying to copy paste the Okta's metadata into the app's metadata, it's showing me some error.
Okay, what is it? Are you trying to go to this particular page and then copying in metadata file content
Yeah,
over
right.
here?
Yeah.
Okay, and are you choosing, are you copy pasting exactly like what do you see on the screen? Like for example, over here, exactly this thing complete.
Yeah.
So, okay, what is the error you are seeing?
Uh,
Can
yeah.
you paste the screenshot or stuff like that? Or if I
This
can,
doesn't appear to be valid sample metadata.
okay. I'll just try to make you a, okay. Can you present your screen once? I just made you the presenter.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet. Are you presenting? I'm not sure if you're presenting.
No, it's I know how it works. I
I'll
don't know. Yeah.
Is it possible if you can send me a screenshot, like,
Yeah, okay,
or
I'll do that. Yeah, sure.
okay, can I give you the access to my system? If I can give you the access and you can tell me what you are trying to do, maybe.
I'm not sure how it works. So,
Okay, okay, no problem.
uh-huh.
Okay, can we just try it with your application itself? Because like when I'm trying to do it at my end, it doesn't show me that error. So you can just like if this is your application, right? Test Swamini. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if I just go into your application, right? So I think this is your IDP metadata, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to you know, don't use this thing. Just try to use till over here. Only this part, and if in case you were trying to use this, don't use this, just this part only. If in case you were using this only, then I think that should not be an issue, because if I go in here and if I go and just copy paste and submit, so it does give me a unique login URL.
Somehow I'm not able to see the screen which you can. I mean, I can't see the same metadata which is showing on your screen.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Can you just tell me again from where you get SP metadata? Because I'm trying to.
Yeah, sure. So this is I have just pasted, yeah, this is that URL which I have pasted, right? sptest.imshowcase.com,
Yes.
right? And over here you see, please see the instructions. So I just click on this tab and then that's where I get this download
Okay,
metadata.
okay.
Yeah. So I think it could be a possibility that you are not on the right page or the application side and hence it wasn't working, right? Okay, so I mean, like Swamini, you can still try, and like if in case it doesn't work, just feel free to just say it, and we'll make sure that it works. Like that's important, and these are all the small errors which I was talking about. Also, like once you start the integration on your side, you'll see multiple things. It might not look big, but like at the end of the day, it's not working, then it's a big thing. So it's good, like you're trying, and I would request everyone to please go ahead and try this connection, because like it's important, and this is how you will learn SAML. Although SAML is a very easy protocol, but still you won't be able to uh, you won't be able to understand it until you do it on your own. So that's why I'm emphasizing again and again that just go ahead and create a connection and come up with doubts, please. That's very important. Okay, so just a couple of things I wanted to discuss. We have discussed about assignments. So there are a couple of things in assignments. One could be assigned directly to the people, and the other could be assigned to the groups. So if I have an Okta group, although I just have one group in Okta right now, which is everyone, so that's why I'm not assigning it. But if in case I assign it, for example, I just go ahead and assign this group, so you'll see that all the people who are there in this everyone group will be assigned to the application. So now Vibhor, Pranjal, Sukanya, Swamini, everyone has access to this application. Anyone can go in and and you will all will be able to see it on your end user dashboard. you all will be able to see this application on your end user dashboard like this. So that's what like the assignments mean. If you don't want to assign to a group, you can individually assign to people as well. Like you can just remove this group for the time being, and I just want one more person to be assigned, maybe Swamini or Sukanya. So I just assign that, and you'll see that there are only two people assigned, one me and one Sukanya. So that's how it works, like assignment tab. Import tab is something you don't have to, if in case you want the people to be imported, like suppose you are using an Excel file, and in that Excel file you have got 100 users, so you can directly import those users from the Excel file, and you that becomes your they can be assigned directly to the application. Then mobile is something this we don't have to worry about, because that is something totally to do with something to the OIDC app. So this is about native apps, so it's fine. Let's talk about sign on. We did mention about the metadata file. So metadata is something which we have already generated and we have mentioned, and username format is something the Okta username. And then we have the sign on policies. So we are going to look into what sign on policy is and how it works. But for the time being, that's how the sign on tabs looks like, and the only important thing which we have to worry about on this tab is about the identity provider metadata. Okay. And if you go ahead and look the general settings of the application, so this contains your application label. This consists like whether you, so I did mention, no, I don't want it to be IDP initiated flow. So now if I click on save, no, and if I refresh my dashboard, this application chiclet will go away. See, still I'm assigned to the application. If you go in and see, no, I'm still assigned to the application, but I don't see the application on my dashboard. And the reason being because the application was not visible to me. I have made it like it should not be visible to me on my dashboard. So that's why I'll just disable it for the time being. Then we have stuff like provisioning. Don't worry, I'll be, talking about this topic in detail, and what provisioning is and how it works and stuff like that. But for the time being, just you can ignore it. Then some general settings. You have the single sign-on URL, recipient URL, and the destination URL. So recipient URL is something like it's basically like from 99% of the application, the recipient and the destination URLs are going to be same as that of your ACS URL, because the recipient URL is something, as the name suggests, no, it's going to receive something. So your ACS is going to be received on the location where the service provider or the application can read the assertion. So that's why they are going to be the same. But if in case like you come up in a scenario where you find that they have some different recipient and destination URL, and the app team is providing you with those things, you can just go ahead and manually configure those stuff here. And audience restriction is something your entity ID, name ID format. I've already talked about all these response and assertions that they are signed. So like signed means that there has to be a trust which is like signed, or there has to be a CA, that is a certificate authority, which is signing the request. So that's why they are signed. Then signature algorithm is RSA, which means like it's using SHA-256. This is an encryption format. So which means like if you are writing ABC, this will be encrypted to something like maybe some Roman characters or stuff like that. So that's what it means, like the sign which is going to be done, that will be like encrypted in a SHA format. And then these are the attributes which we were sending. So you can think of like we sent an email and first name to the application. So some attributes, if you want to give send some group names to the application, then we can do it from group attribute names. And then finally the embed link. This is your IDP metadata URL. If in case you are not able to view right on your dashboard, then you can directly hit this URL. So this is basically try to log into the application from the IDP. So if you look at this URL now, this is your dev-5400. This is my Okta domain. So this is why like this is my IDP URL. Embed link, you can say that IDP initiated URL. So you can use the below URL to sign into this application from a portal or other locations outside of Okta. If I don't want to go ahead and Okta and sign in, then I can use this URL. So that's what it is. So yeah, that's what the general settings we have in SAML. I know there are certain things which you might not have, come up or understood, but the main objective was that you understand how do we actually create a connection and, generate a trust between the identities, and, how do we actually go ahead and uh, like, do the single sign-on. So now if you would have noticed, like we have although integrated this application, but you might have realized that nowhere we are, trying to authenticate. I mean, we are entering credentials like nowhere, because you have a session created in this browser with Okta. So every time you want to go ahead, it authenticates, Okta authenticates and logs you directly into the application. So this is what single sign-on is all about. This is where you just have logged in once to Okta, and you can leverage the service of single sign-on by not directly entering credentials. You can just use Okta as an IDP and directly get into the application every time. So that's what it is, and that's where I would like to stop for the day. We have completed the demo for how SAML works and stuff like that. I would again, request you, every one of you, to please go ahead and try it on your own. And if in case you have any doubts and if it doesn't work, we'll just, we can start off with the tomorrow's class with that discussion. So any doubts for now, or we can close off?
I tried to log into Okta account. It's locked.
Okay, can you just give me a second? I'll check. Who is this?
Sukanya.
Okay. No, I think you might have forgotten your password, but it's still in active state. It's not logged.
I got a mail account locked. Actually, while I am trying to log in, it shows sign in attempt failed. I tried 2 to 3 times. It's locked.
Okay, let me see. To be honest, log doesn't suggest anything, but if you want, I can just create a temporary password for you, and you can just use that. Like just use your Gmail ID and the temporary password which I'm providing you. And
Okay.
the moment like you'll be logged in, you have to change your password. So you can use that way. You'll be able to log in.
Okay. Can you just tell me where I have to paste the Okta metadata? I'm not
Yes.
getting.
So if you go into this application now, so over here in application, like if you are like just pinging this chat in the chat only. So this is the place where you have to go to, okay, to paste the metadata. If you just scroll down, you will be seeing setting up SP initiated SSO. After that, and over here metadata file content, so just paste your metadata, Okta's metadata over here. So if this is your
Okay.
application, then this is your metadata. So just go ahead and like just copy paste this much till MD, and make sure that you're not missing anything in that,
Yeah.
and just go ahead and paste it and submit it. It will just create a login URL for you. Okay, anything else?
Okay, now they are showing me that you are not authorized. The first error message.
Yes, yeah, because you might not be assigned to the application, so
Yeah.
you need to go ahead and assign to your application. See, you're not assigned anything. Like, so in test Swamini, nothing is assigned. Let's go ahead and check in test Pranjal. Again, nothing is assigned. So you have to assign.
Yeah.
This is like, the perfect example of that you are able to do the single sign-on. Okta told that yes, I trust this person. He or she is the legitimate person. But application says that I cannot allow this. No, because this application is not assigned to the this user is not assigned to the application in Okta, so I cannot allow. So that's why it gives you that error. that 40. So any 400 error, no, 401, 404, 403, just see that you are assigned to the application. It might be resolved then
Yes,
and there. Yeah,
I did it. Yeah.
perfect.
I tried one more time. It's showing again unable to sign in.
I'm not sure if you are using the right link. Can you make sure that you're using the right link to log in?
Login.okta.com.
Sorry?
Okta.com. Login.okta.com.
No, it's I am just pinging the link to you in the chat. You have to log into this link. Okay, any other doubts you guys have?
So this SP test dot IM showcase, this is the dummy application you made.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just to have the demo completed, that's why I just use this because like I don't own any application, but like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I'm able to log in.
Okay, perfect. You're able to log in, right, Sukanya now?
And from where we can give the attributes?
Attributes. Okay, so if you go in over here, right, so in general settings, if you go, then go to SAML settings. Okay, you go to edit, and if you go to next option, then you will be able to see the attributes option over here. So just for the time being, like if you want to give last name, I won't you do it, but this is like last name or stuff like that, you can give it like this has a a nomenclature to follow. You cannot give anything like something like last name. It won't work, it will give you an error. So that's why it's user or last name. I'll let you know guys why are we using user or stuff like that. But for the time being, if you want to use, just use these octa expressions to make sure that octa is sending the correct value to the application, and then it will work. Like for last name, this is this. For first name, it is. I wouldn't save it. You can save it on your own, but that's how it works. Like camel grace, it is something like that. User.email. So you can just send these three values and just try to send this on the chat. I won't save it, but like you can just go ahead and save it, and then I think.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Okay, then I think we are good to close the today's session. So if in case you guys have like it's good, like it's good to see that you guys are trying now. So that's perfect. And please everyone like who hasn't tried, I would again request you, please go ahead and try this thing today. If in case you have doubts, we can start off our session tomorrow with your doubts, and then we'll see how we'll see a demo on the secure web authentication, that is SWA protocol. So like there are more exciting things coming up, so that's why I just want you, and this way you'll get some hands-on experience with Okta as well, because you are doing certain stuff in Okta, so you'll get to see certain things and you'll start understanding more. So before we move to a secure web authentication protocol demo, let's make sure that every one of you has tested this SAML demo. Okay, so
Okay.
I think we're good to close for today, and have a good one. Take care and see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.